For most performers, the stage is where they feel most alive. For some, it's where everything ended. The audience thought it was part of the show, but it wasn't. There's an unspoken contract between a performer and their audience. You show up, they cheer, everyone goes home. But sometimes, that contract breaks in the most devastating way imaginable. These aren't stories of accidents backstage or tragedies behind closed doors. These are moments that unfolded in front of thousands of people, on lit stages, under bright cameras, in the middle of a song, with no warning, and no way to undo what happened next. Tonight, we're looking at the performers whose final performances became something no one in that crowd will ever forget. The first moment happened without warning. Not every story is an accident. Some are acts of violence. Dimebag Darrell Abbott was one of rock guitar's true originals, a player so gifted that even peers who rarely gave compliments couldn't help but marvel. After the dissolution of Pantera, he'd formed Damage Plan with his brother, and on December 8, 2004, they took the stage in Columbus, Ohio. 90 seconds in, everything changed. A gunman rushed the stage. What followed left 4 people dead, including Darrell. He was 38. The date wasn't lost on rock fans. December 8th is also the anniversary of John Lennon's murder. Some losses seem to cluster around certain moments, as if history is trying to tell us something. In April 1984, British comedian Tommy Cooper was mid-act on a live UK variety show when he fell backwards. The audience laughed. Because that's what you did when Tommy Cooper moved awkwardly. His whole persona was built on lovable chaos. Except this time, it wasn't a bit. It was a heart attack, broadcast live to millions. He was pronounced dead upon arrival at hospital. Somewhere between the laughter and the cut to commercial, a beloved entertainer took his last breath. Owen Hart's story is equally haunting and equally watched. In May 1999, as 16,000 fans waited for his entrance at a WWE pay-per-view event, a rigging failure sent him plunging from the rafters. The crowd didn't understand what they'd witnessed until announcer Jim Ross quietly, solemnly told them this was not part of the show. Hart had just turned 34. Sometimes there are no warning signs. It comes mid-song, mid-smile, mid-celebration. By 2016, Nick Menza was playing smaller venues with his band OHM, but his passion hadn't faded. On a May night in Studio City, California, he was just 3 songs into the set when he suddenly collapsed behind the drums. He was 51 years old. He never made it off that stage. For a man who spent his life making noise, the silence that followed was deafening. If stories like this stay with you, consider subscribing. John "Sib" Hashian, original drummer for the legendary band Boston, was performing aboard a classic rock cruise in March 2017 when he collapsed during a set. He was 67 and had recently been diagnosed with kidney cancer, though few in the audience that night knew any of that. Just months later, a different stage, a different celebration, this one intentional. Colonel Bruce Hampton, beloved godfather of the jam band world, was being honored at a concert in Atlanta on the night after his 71st birthday. Friends, legends, and musical descendants had gathered to pay tribute. As a young guitar prodigy began to play, Hampton fell. Those on stage assumed it was a theatrical gesture, a "we're not worthy" moment. It wasn't. Hampton was rushed to hospital and passed away that night. He'd lived long enough to hear how much he mattered. That at least was something. And then there are the performances that ended in complete silence. Some stories aren't accidents. Tiny Tim, the falsetto-voiced novelty star of the late 60s, collapsed mid-performance of his signature song at a Minneapolis charity event in 1996. He told his wife he wasn't feeling well. Moments later, he was gone. Mark Sandman, the deeply original frontman of Morphine, fell on stage mid-set at an Italian festival in 1999. He died in the ambulance. And Barbara Weldens, a 35-year-old French singer who had only just released her debut album, stepped on a faulty electrical piece of equipment during what witnesses called a brilliant performance. The standing ovation she received may have been the last thing she heard. Every one of these performers gave everything they had, sometimes more than anyone expected. There's something both beautiful and unbearable about that. The stage was where they felt most alive, and for some, it's where their story ended. Because sometimes, the show doesn't end when the music stops. It ends when no one expects it to. If these kinds of stories stay with you, you're in the right place. Subscribe, and check out the video on screen next.